Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim, and I have an article from The Guardian. It just appeared Friday the 4th of February, and it reads, U.S. anti-jab mandate campaigners aim to mimic Canadian convoy tactic. And so I did a video on this on the Canadian convoy from, I guess, about a week ago, and this is going to be mimicked here in the U.S. And what that means is that there will be possible shortages and possible food shortages and supply shortages coming, because that took a large number of trucks out of service to do this protest or convoy that they have planned. And I was just recently watching the Apostles from this weekend, and Apostle Tahar brought out that how the Ottawa flag looks. Actually, I've got it pulled up right here. And so you could see that 666 right there in the Ottawa flag. But that's leading into belief that this was possibly a false flag. And that would make sense, because you can then blame the truckers for these supply shortages and the eventual famine that will hit Babylon and Canada for that matter. But we'll get into this article. It says a group of American truckers are seeking to import a Canadian movement to protest against jab mandates, with thousands of members on social media pledging to bring the demonstration to Washington, D.C. next month. In Canada, trucker protests have been linked to the far right and caused days of disruption in the capital, Ottawa, as well as in a border town in Alberta. And you can see that disruption, it caused disruption. So this will eventually lead to more shortages and possibly famine. It says U.S. organizers operating a Facebook group called Convoy to DC 2022 gained more than 100,000 members and announced a convoy next month. But the Facebook group was recently removed by Meta. We have removed this group for repeatedly violating our policies against QAnon, said a spokesperson for Meta, referring to the QAnon conspiracy movement that has sprung up in right-wing circles and often promotes anti-Semitic tropes. Organizers of the convoy say that they are demonstrating strictly against jab mandates, which they consider unconstitutional, and deny any affiliation to QAnon. None of us are QAnon supporters or followers or anything like that, said Jeremy Johnson. Let's move on down. But since being banned by Facebook, the organizers of the convoy have moved to Telegram, where more than 28,000 have joined. The Guardian has reported on the right-wing exodus to alt-tech platforms like Telegram. In Canada, the protests have attracted far-right protesters, organizers, and fundraisers. They've driven to Ottawa, where some reportedly defaced statues and carried swastika flags. A separate trucker convoy has also blocked a border crossing into the U.S. in the Alberta town of Coutts. Police in Ottawa recently warned they might have to call in the military to disband the protests. But some organizers in the U.S. say far-right and far-left groups are not welcome in the group. We don't condone it or want it there on either side, said Brian Braze, one of the organizers. All races, genders, sexual orientation, ethnicities, legal status are welcome, said Brose. They changed his name right there. This isn't conservative or liberal. But the main thing is that they're planning to do the exact same thing that they did in Canada here, and that can lead to supply shortages and eventually famine. And so let's go ahead and get into the scriptures. 2nd Esdras 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. Sown as in seeds put into the ground, scattered onto the ground. And so it's saying once a place that did have seeds or should have seeds, it appears as if it doesn't. And the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, as in no supplies. Let's go to Job 5:19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yeah, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt not be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. Because these are the things that are coming onto the earth, that destruction referring to the ICBMs, the missiles, and famine because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lack of bread. Beast of the earth, because he makes their spirits created for vengeance, and those can be within the beast of the field, the beast, not the field, Slovakia, but the beast of the earth, the different animals going wild on people in the coming days. Let's go to Mark 13 and 8. Actually, we'll start at 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. And there are plenty of wars and rumors of wars going on right now. Russia, Ukraine, U.S. situation is something that comes to mind immediately. For such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And we're seeing that division. It's here. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places. And the earthquake that I could recently think of is in, I think it's Samoa, out in the Pacific. And there shall be famines and troubles. And that article is showing that there's a possible famine coming from, at least from these convoys, these protests that are happening. And there's inflation, which goes into not being as readily available because of the price as well. And it says, these are the beginning of sorrows. So we're right at the beginning of sorrows, where we're starting to see that things ain't looking so bright. The future's not looking too bright for Babylon, America, the West, and the rest of the world. Revelation 18 and 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, going into the missiles. That's here Babylon, which is America. For strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. Because that is the will of the Most High, to judge Babylon for all of its iniquities. 2nd Esdras 16, and we're going to start here at 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. And that's Esdras as he's seeing these visions of the terrible destruction that's coming to the world. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. His people, they don't even see that the future is not bright. They think things are going to go back to normal. They think this inflation's just going to pass by. They're not even thinking that about how these convoys can lead to more shortages and famine. And they're not turning towards the Lord because they don't see what's happening, what's going on. 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And those are growing. Sword, there's more violence, more and more violence year over year. I think I saw there's record-breaking murders in 2021. Famine, as we've been talking about, is coming, and it's being exacerbated right now in great confusion. Nobody knows what's going on except for the men of the Lord, starting with the apostles and going on down. Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and that's an awful way to go, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And so we see that there's possible famine coming and more shortages because of these convoys and these protests. So it might be wise to, not saying go stock up crazy, but it might be wise to get some extra rice and beans and some things to hold you over for what's happening, what's going to come to pass. And so repent, pray, fast, come back to the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.